Well, hi there. This is our very last practice problems that we're going to do. It's two AP exam problems that are both about foreign exchange. Let's get started. Okay, so the first question here and the second one are both actually AP exam problems. I think they're from 2024, but I'd have to go back and check. They say, assume Malaysia's economy is in a recession and its government currently has a balanced budget. And this is telling us really that they're bringing in the same amount of taxes as they're spending at the beginning, but the economy is not doing well. How can they fix it from a fiscal policy action? Well, fiscal actions are taxes, transfers, and spending. So how could we improve the amount of economic output? Maybe we could cut taxes. Or we could increase government spending, or you could increase transfers. Any one of those would work. B, how will the fiscal policy affect the real interest rate in Malaysia? Explain. So we do need to explain. And what we would say is the real interest rate will rise because there's increased government borrowing and thus increased demand for loanable funds. In the loanable funds market, we would expect the demand curve to shift to the right as a result of the higher government borrowing, which is going to drive up the interest rate. Now, part C, Malaysia and Japan are trading partners with flexible exchange rates. Malaysia's currency is the ringgit MYR, and Japan's currency is the yen JPY. At right, draw a correlated graph of the foreign exchange market for the ringgit relative to the yen. Show the effect of the change in the real interest rate and then find in B on the international value of the ringgit. So what this is asking us is to graph the ringgit, right? Not the yen, just the ringgit. So the first step we're going to be is graph it, and then it's going to ask us to show the effect of the change in the real interest rate. And so we need to make sure that we're tying it back some way to that interest rate change. So the way we draw the ringgit graph, MYR, it even gives us the abbreviations. You don't have to know what they are. The bottom, MYR, so bottom matches the bottom, and I'm going to put this right here so I remember it's the Malaysian ringgit, and it's priced in yen. And then from there, we just have supply and demand. Now, as a result of the higher interest rate, right, the interest rate increased. Therefore, there's an increase in the demand for our financial assets, right? In other words, what we're saying is foreigners want to move money to Malaysia. Just to kind of spell that out for us, right? The foreigners are like, gee, the interest rate is so much higher in Malaysia. I would love to save my money in Malaysia and earn that higher interest rate. So the interest rate is attracting capital inflows. In order for those foreigners to actually invest, though, in Malaysia, they have to have Malaysian ringgit. You can't buy Malaysian financial assets using yen. You have to buy them using ringgit. And so there's a greater demand for the ringgit. So we would say dash, 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 and an increase here. So it shows that the ringgit appreciated. Now, the next question says, as a result of the change in the value of the ringgit, which it appreciated, will Malaysia's imports increase, decrease, or remain the same? Explain. So we would say imports would increase because foreign goods, which is Japanese, right? Because it's specifically about Japanese foreign goods, are now, and we're going to use this is the money word here, really important, relatively cheaper. It's super important that we make it clear that the goods themselves are actually not cheaper. The price in Japan stayed the same. What's happening is that now the ringgit, by being more valuable, the ringgit went up in price, the ringgit can buy more Japanese yen, which means that the Malaysians can buy more Japanese products as a result of the value of their currency being higher. And so we would say that Malaysian imports of Japanese goods are going to rise because those Japanese foreign goods are now relatively cheaper for the Malaysians. Let's take a look at number 2. Assume Jamaica has a cyclical unemployment rate of 4 and a balanced financial account. So this is just saying their financial account is equal to 0. And later in the problem, they're going to ask us about that, and that's why. So you can kind of see the beginning of this one says they have a balanced budget, and obviously we changed that, and now they borrowed a bunch. In this one, we're going to do something here where it's not going to be a balance by the end. So at the beginning, it says they have cyclical unemployment. So I know based on this, they're in a recession, right? That's what that means. So I know they're in a recession. So how should they fix it? Specific fiscal policy. So it's the very similar question. I think, like I said, they were the same gear. So they could cut taxes, increase government spending, or increase transfers. So similar question already. Now, part B, based solely on the short run change in real output resulting from this fiscal action, what will happen to their exports? So this one's tricky because you have to understand what they're saying here with solely on the change in real output. And real output equals GDP R, which equals national income. And if we know that we cut taxes and increase government spending, we know that output went up, GDP went up, national income's higher. And so if national income is higher, right, then we would say Jamaica's XN will actually decrease. And that's because their imports will increase because national income went up. So this is one of the hardest problems probably in the whole year, and it's the very last one that I'm asking you to do. Jamaica's net exports are going to decrease because they're buying more stuff from everywhere. Their national income is higher, so they're going to buy more of everything, right? When the government spent more money or gave you tax cuts or gave you a transfer, ordinary Jamaicans are going to say, I'm going to run out and buy more stuff. Some of that stuff was foreign, and as a result, their imports will rise. When their imports rise, little bell there. When their imports rise, then there's going to be less net exports as a result. So this one's really tough for that reason because you're trying to go through a couple of different logic there. Now, assume that Jamaica and Turkey are trading partners with flexible exchange rates. Their currency is the JMD. Turkey's currency is the TRY. At right, draw a curriculum graph of the foreign exchange market for the Jamaican dollar. So we'll do that first. The Jamaican dollar. Q, JMD. The bottom matches the bottom. And we'll say the top here, TRY, the Turkish lira. And so then we have supply and demand, and this is the JMD market, the Jamaican dollar market. Now, show the effect of the change in net exports. So if I know that they're importing more stuff, right, that means the Jamaicans are buying more, right? Jamaica buying more foreign stuff. So what does that mean? If Jamaica's buying more foreign stuff, so that means their demand for the TRY is going to increase, and we'd say the supply of the JMD will increase. That's because when they go to buy more foreign stuff, they need to supply more of their own currency to do that. And it actually tells you on the supply. So it tells you supply of the JMD. And so we would say that the supply would increase of that JMD because they're going to go out and buy more foreign stuff. And as a result, the JMD will depreciate. How will the change in net exports identified in Part B affect Jamaica's financial account, FA? So this one's actually kind of skip back, go think about this. If their net exports went down, if XN decreased, then we would say the current account is in deficit. So the financial account, which is what this question's asking, right? This same financial account is in surplus. And so the correct answer is the financial account moves to surplus because the XN decreased and that made the current account move to deficit. And we know that they balance each other. So these, again, are probably some of the hardest problems that we're going to be tackling all semester. They are the last ones. This is the very last practice set, aside from our extra practice homework. I am glad that you've taken this journey with me. I don't know that I'll see you next time. Take care.